Hello everyone. Welcome back to Games from Earth. Been a while, hasn't it? We're back though, and this time I have a special treat for you. A Star Wars game. If you didn't know already, I love Star Wars. My first exposure to it was having the original trilogy on VHS when I was like 6 years old. I remember watching it on repeat and then getting very, very upset when I accidentally stepped on the tape and ruined A New Hope. I guess looking back on it, I shouldn't have been that tantric about that, since I still had Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, both of which are better than A New Hope, but that's a topic for another day. This isn't movies from Earth. In terms of Star Wars games, Jedi Academy is widely seen as one of the best ones ever made. It's a product of what fans call the Golden Age, that period of time between The Phantom Menace and when Disney acquired LucasArts. That acquisition has a long list of implications, one of the more significant ones being that exclusive Star Wars game rights were given to the passionless, game-killing bastion of misery known as Electronic Arts. For a while, anyway. We may be coming out of this dark age now, but for a long time it was looking like we'd never get another banger Star Wars game again. Jankiness and bugs aside, Fallen Order was sort of like a breath of fresh air. I can't say for certain what the future looks like, with Star Wars Outlaws looking more and more underwhelming as it approaches release, but that doesn't matter. Today, we're going back to the year 2003 to play Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, developed by Raven Software, who would go on years later to work on both the good and the bad Call of Duty games. So we're in 2003, right? That means The Matrix Reloaded just came out, and it was completely dominating the then budding American internet culture, along with Prince of Persia Sands of Time and The Curse of the Black Pearl. God, we were eating good. So, of course, we'll be looking for some of the hallmarks of early 2000s entertainment. Slow-motion fighting and scantily clad women. I'd throw in whiny-sounding punk rock tracks into that list, but this is Star Wars, for Christ's sake. John Williams would never. Actually, no John Williams for us today, unfortunately. I had to mute all of the music because I didn't want to get body slammed by the overalls mouse. Alright, let's get started. I should mention that I'm playing in 1600 by 900 windowed mode because if you've ever tried tabbing out of an old game running in full screen mode instead of quitting out of it, you'd know that it's going to mess with your resolution quite badly. So apologies if this looks slightly less than stellar on a big screen. Oh yeah, you can decide how you look in this game. I forgot about that. Yeah, a little bit of RPG flavor going on here. I wouldn't call this game a full RPG, but it does have some elements that blur the lines a little bit. This being one of them. Human? Pfft, nah. The beauty of playing a game like this is that you can be a red alien lady if you want to. These clothing options all look a little gaudy to me in my opinion though, so I guess I'll just pick the ones that look the most like armor. There we go. We've got our iconic credits crawl explaining the setup to the story. So this takes place after the Return of the Jedi movie. The New Republic has the remnants of the Empire on their back foot, and Luke is training a new generation of Jedi to be peacekeepers in the galaxy. And that's where we come in. You play as Jaden Korr, who's noteworthy because they were able to build a lightsaber of their own without any formal Jedi training. That's why we were selected to go to the Academy. This kind of bothers me though. First off, because I used to work with a guy named Jaden, and he was a huge dick. But also because this whole thing reeks of foul play. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that the Jedi are luring Jaden in to silence them, and to prevent the secret to how to build a lightsaber from falling into the wrong hands. That's what I would do if I were them. This overeager fellow here is Rosh. He comes off as kind of a Sancho Panza type character. He's kind of stupid, cares too much about what others think of him, and is just happy being able to swing a sword around. Or, in this case, a lightsaber. He's a close talker, too. Fortunately for us, though, we catch a small break from his oppressive optimism when the ship gets hit by something planetside, and we crash into the jungle. What the hell? Is that me? No, it can't be me. I've got way better fashion sense than that. So here we are, gameplay time. Since this is a game released for console players who are apparently immune to things like motion sickness, I have to use a small console command to set the FOV to something higher. Much better. So I guess we've got to make it on foot to the Academy from here.
Jaden, hey! I'm stuck! Can you help?
Oh man, he's still here? Damn. I was hoping he might be unconscious, or at least too injured to walk. The lightsaber feels nice and flashy to swing around. The sounds are spot on, too. Let's go find something to hit. A tree. I guess that could be a good starting point. Vroom. The forest creatures here are not as cute and cuddly as I want them to be. Instead, they're loud and ugly. Kinda reminds me of someone I know.
Watch out!
Ow! Did you see that? He shot me! You better watch it there, cowboy. The story of blaster versus lightsaber is one as old as time itself, and we both know how it goes. See? It goes just like that. Whoa, that's a funny-looking stormtrooper. After a small duel, my wild spam of left-click attack moves proves to be too much for him to handle. Then, we sneak up to the temple and get hit with a laser beam of some sort by the looks of things. When we come to, we're greeted by Kyle Katarn, the protagonist of the previous Jedi Knight games, who strikes me as someone who never really wanted to be a Jedi in the first place, but the Force kinda just fell in his lap, so he went, what the hell, moving stuff around with my mind is pretty cool, and decided to just roll with the punches. Kinda relatable, to be honest. Luke is here too, but they didn't get Mark Hamill for this game, so nah. Hello? Luke? I can see you moving down there. I know the game's not frozen. So this is what it takes to be a Jedi, huh? They don't even have chairs here. This academy sucks. Well, this cutscene appears to be broken for now, but from my fuzzy memory from when I played this game a few years ago, I think all that happens is both Rosh and Jaden get assigned to train under Kyle. Does it bother anyone else that his name is Kyle? Not really a name you'd associate with a Star Wars character. Kyle. So now it's time to begin our real training. Here the game teaches you about the basic Force abilities: push, pull, sense, and speed. The list of tricks available to you only expands as the game goes on, too. Rosh, being himself, springs a training droid on me to slow me down because he thinks the training is a competition.
Hey, Jaden, this should keep you busy till I finish the course. I can't believe I wasn't trying to...
Save it, Rosh.
Finally, we get to see Jaden give him some well-deserved sass. Yeah, you tell him, Jaden. Look at him. What a square. With our training complete, we're free to go on missions as a way of learning by doing, I suppose. They actually let you pick and choose which missions to go on. Some of them are even optional. Let's go to Tatooine. It's just a desert planet, but it's a classic. And it's a real treat, too, since it's the first of the real levels, which means it's finally time to be hacking up dozens of baddies with our saber. The melee combat feels good enough on its own, but what really sets the Jedi Knight games apart is the ability to use not only lightsabers, but all kinds of other gear too, like blasters and explosives, which all have charms of their own. There's a lot you can do to achieve your goals, and I think it even treads into the immersive sim genre a little bit. I really like this gun, the Disruptor. In the equipment selection menu at the start of the level, the flavor text mentions that it isn't widely used because it's inhumane. Yeah, no shit. Look at that. It just vaporizes them. Jedi Peacekeepers my ass. If they're handing these things out to their students, then what do the higher-ups have access to? Iron Maidens? Mustard gas? All in all, this is a great broader introduction into the combat system. Way back in October when I posted the first video I ever made on this channel, the Enclave review, I compared that game's combat to this game's, and playing it again now, I think I was right on the money. The two titles feel very similar, not only in combat either. The choice of which level to play next, being able to pick which equipment to take into each mission, and the way the characters control all line up perfectly between the two. I will say though that Jedi Academy has a big leg up on Enclave. Not only does it allow the players to purchase and upgrade force powers, adding more to that RPG flavor, but it also has the entirety of the Star Wars universe to work with. One of my biggest complaints in the Enclave review was about how uninspired everything felt. The fantasy elements were so generic most of the time. Here, we're spoiled for flavor. That guy with the frosted tips and the stupid goatee would be drooling. While it's on my mind, how about that force power system? They make a pretty good point of labeling powers as either Jedi or dark side powers, but then go on to say that no power is inherently evil. And then they talk about how it's about how you use it or whatever. Well, if that's the case, I'm absolutely putting more points into the dark side powers. They have way cooler shit. Drain, choke, lightning, and rage. The Jedi have lame stuff like heal and absorption. Boring. I want to fry dudes, so for me, it's Force Lightning all the way, baby. See? Works like a charm. I do like how while the Jedi powers are all defensive abilities, the dark side ones are all offensive. Good little nod to how Jedi and Sith are actually portrayed in other Star Wars media. Oh hey, back at the Academy, I guess. What the... Is that me? Wait, it really is me this time. Whoa, this is all kinds of freaky. Never had an out-of-body experience before. Wait, am I dead? No, I can't be. Why would I be seeing myself alive if I was a ghost?
Huh?
Exactly! Finally, Rosh says something that makes sense. I don't know what the hell is going on here, but that tears it. I thought I could run this game on Windows 10 with no problems, but obviously not. If you're not gonna behave, you're getting patched. There we go. I did some snooping around, and it seems that installing the OpenJK platform got rid of the issue. Thank God. I always breathe a sigh of relief when I run into issues playing an old, clunky PC game that was designed to work with older operating systems, but then discover that there's an elite coven of nerds tucked away on a small forum like this, keeping it breathing. For free, just out of their own passion for the game. I love the internet. Okay, so as I was saying, we're back at the Academy again for a small cutscene of Rosh complaining.
Ever wonder if your master is holding you back? You know, making sure you don't become too powerful?
Being held back? You? I'll tell you what's holding you back, Rosh. It's that haircut. What even is that? This next level is our first all-out skirmish with the Empire. They're what you'd expect. Horrible aim, horrible environmental awareness, and outright embarrassing planning. They kind of just stand around when you're slashing them up. I like to think that they're paralyzed with fear. I mean, I would be too if someone with a laser sword that could kill me instantly was coming right at me. We're told to go around defusing all these bombs. Luckily, they're not hidden or anything. They're these big green glow-in-the-dark canisters. Come on, you guys, at least try to hide them. I can totally see how you ivory idiots lost the war. After that, we get to play The Floor is Lava, Tremors style. We're here to rescue a stranded merchant, but oh no! Yeah, figures. These mercantile types are all the same. It's all merchandise and no sales. Since we crash-landed our ship when we got here, we have to scavenge parts from the merchant's ship to fix our own. It's a nice little test of the game's platforming, and one it passes well. You have good control over your character while you're in the air, and the jumps it expects you to make are perfectly reasonable. I will say, though, my patience is running dry with all these desert planets. Oh, here we go. An environment with some friggin' bite to it. Look at how fast this thing is going. It gives off a real sense of scale. If the train is moving this fast through a metropolis like this and we're still in it, then the city must be absolutely huge, right? This looks like a terrarium or something. Nice. I wonder what they grow in here. What's the Star Wars equivalent for weed? I know they've got death sticks, but I always assumed those were more like cigarettes. Going with George Lucas's propensity to make things as on the nose as possible, Star Wars weed is probably called like Boing Leaf or some shit. So after stopping the train from exploding the city, we finally get some more story. The scepter we saw from earlier is an old Sith artifact, and they're using it to drain Force energy and store it for destructive blasts. Honestly, it sounds like a pretty cool weapon, but Jedi being Jedi, they most likely want it destroyed. Also, I've got a bit of a nitpick here. I like these in-engine cutscenes way more than the pre-rendered ones, since being in-engine allows them to scale with hardware changes better, but they aren't without their caveats. Since the dialogue sound clips come from the in-game characters themselves in the 3D space, sometimes when the camera angle changes, the voice goes directly into one side of the stereo sound.
Don't stay too long. The Imperial remnant may still be...
Get out of my ear, not Mark Hamill. There's also this little quirk. Look at this. What the hell is that sound? It's not going away. Oh, it's these things. Tauntauns. Yeah, thanks for chewing up the scenery, guys. I was trying to have some exposition back there. They make up for it, though, because we get to ride them. They're a little bit hard to control since you can only go forwards with them, but I think they're more than just a novelty. They work surprisingly well. Whoa, holy shit, they can charge, too. Get 'em, boy. I'm naming you... Leonard. Are you hungry, Leonard? What do Tauntauns eat, anyway? There doesn't seem to be much food around here, and they definitely don't look like carnivores, but you never know. A lot of stormtroopers around, just sitting there, well preserved in the ice. Hoth is pretty nice this time of year. Yes, it's a wasteland, but for some reason a snowy wasteland is way less depressing to me than a sandy one. I did grow up in what was a snowy wasteland for at least 3 months out of the year, so I think it just reminds me of home. As it turns out, we're actually at the same base that was in the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. Echo Base. Yeah, look, here's the shield generator. And there's also a bunch of decrepit armored transport vehicles, buried in the snow. Oh, and here's the embarrassing diaper tank that Luke had to heal in. This is just neat. A lot of the times, Star Wars games try pretty hard to venture outside of what came from the movies, and I get it. You want original settings and locations, those are valuable too. But as someone who adores the movies, it is really cool to be going through locations from them after the fact. Like we're the cleanup crew or something. Hey, check out how ridiculous the crouching animation is. Holy shit. That's... That's gonna kill me, I gotta stop. Hey, it's the dripless version of me again.
Ah, you must be the saber-wielding troublemaker who neutralized...
Yeah, just fight me already. The Saber Combat really shows its teeth when it's with an enemy that doesn't die in 1 or 2 hits. It's nice and reactive. It feels a little bit touch and go, if that makes sense. A lot of it is just swatting at the enemy and then creating distance so you don't get hit back. You can mix a lot of stuff in, like your force powers, saber combos, and acrobatics. And if 2 attacks meet in the middle, it triggers a saber lock, where you have to mash the attack button to overpower your opponent. Fuck yes. That was sick. Unfortunately, she's not much stronger than the other enemies with lightsabers, and the fight is over a little too quickly for my liking. Guess I'm just that good. I would have liked a longer fight to experiment with the moves and mechanics because I know it's a lot more advanced than it looks. One of the things that gives Jedi Academy so much longevity is the sheer amount of things you can do in combat. There's so many moves, and so many ways to switch it up too. One of which being the saber styles. You unlock more as you progress throughout the story, starting with the fast style. And boy, let me tell you, it is fast. I don't see any reason not to switch to purely fast saber style when you're fighting these goons with blasters. It's nice and snappy too, and if you combine it with the force speed power, you're an absolute force of nature. The enemies that just stand around treating you like you're moving target practice do not stand a chance. Rancor time. Look at him, he's adorable, but in like an ugly way. Like it's so ugly it's cute. Like pugs, but without the selective breeding. Rancors are one of my all-time favorite Star Wars creatures. I've always been partial to big, dangerous animals that would gobble you up without a second thought, and Rancors definitely fit into that category. This is another nice level. It's got plenty of combat, and we got a brand new enemy type. And now I'm on a goddamn speeder bike. See, this is the type of shit that I just adore. This game takes you places, man. It's not all shooting stormtroopers and slicing up aliens. It breaks its own mold really well, and it's not afraid to experiment. Get back, I can't control this thing very well. Seriously, dude, get back. See? I told you. Did you listen to me? No. And now you're a permanent stain on the wall. Whoa! Boiling bantha piss, that was cool. This level's over pretty quick, but that was a nice little snack. Now I'm hungry for more of the main course. And it's a croissant level. I mean, a Coruscant level. Sorry, I'm hungry. I love Coruscant. The concept of a planet that is just a city on every single piece of land is horrifying and awesome. I would never want to live there since I thrive near nature, but I do really like the way it looks. Look at all those ships flying around in organized chaos down there. Where are they going? Do they have work to do? A planet like this, a lot of them are probably criminals like these guys. Is he surrendering? Whoa, I didn't even know you could do that. I used force pull on his gun, and since he's disarmed now, he doesn't want to fight. Yeah, I wouldn't either. Sense of self-preservation, that's something you don't see much in games. This game is actually chock full of little details like that. I haven't talked about it yet, but here's a few off the top of my head. Back on Hoth, since it's cold, you can see Jaden's breath. On rainy planets, when raindrops hit your lightsaber, they fizzle and steam. Haven't seen that detail in any other Star Wars games. Oh, and on the topic of lightsabers, how about the particle effects and trails when your saber collides with objects? Look at this. I tried to sign my name on the wall here, but the decals don't stick around long enough. But my point still stands. There is some real attention to detail going on here. This is something you only get when you have passionate developers that actually care about making a great game. And here we get another new enemy. These shield droids. They're fine, I guess. It's kind of just a waiting game, but it is something new. Wow, lightning is good. I killed all of them with one blast. Did you see that? Oh no, not this mission. Already? We were having such a good time. Alright, I guess it's time to take our lumps. You know how in every good game, no matter how incredible the rest of it is, there's always that one level that just downright stinks, and it's an ugly blemish on an otherwise great game? Well, for me, it's this level. Covert Operation on Kril'dor. It starts off on the right foot by having us work alongside one of the characters from the movies. That's nice, but what you actually have to do to progress is a mess. It has you planting these beacons for the X-Wing pilot up above so that you can blow some stuff up. There's like 5 or 6 in all, scattered throughout the level, pretty standard stuff. But you have to do them in a predetermined order, which is kind of a big problem because the whole level is open to you from the get-go. You can go to areas that you'll have to plant beacons in early, but you won't be able to actually plant them until you've planted the ones in the other areas first, even though there's no real reason for it at all. Not only that, but the physical layout of the level is one of my least favorite kinds. You have to go down to go up, and up to go down. It's just kind of... you know? It feels like they didn't playtest this as thoroughly as the other levels. There's not even a map. Combine those issues with the fact that this isn't exactly the most aesthetically pleasing part of the game, and you've got yourself a recipe for one sorry stinker of a level. But hey, the silver lining is, if you really don't want to do this part, and you know it's coming, you actually don't have to. The structure of the game is that you'll get a story level or two, and then Luke and Kyle will send you on some busy work while they look into things, in the form of 5 levels you get to choose from. You only have to do 4 of these 5 levels to progress. So you can skip one of your choice if you want. I'm just showing it to you for historical purposes. I would absolutely skip this level if I wasn't making a video. Now this next one's a doozy too, since you get captured and you have your lightsaber taken away before their leader here turns you loose to hunt you for sport. You'd expect me to bitch and moan more about this part since they take away your saber, which is easily 90% of the fun of this game, but I actually see it as a necessary break. It gives you time to really play around with the other weaponry of the game, which would otherwise go underappreciated, because let's be honest, who wants to shoot blasters when you have a lightsaber and lightning hands and shit? But let's set that aside for a minute. The shooting is pretty basic, to be honest, not much to it. You point and shoot, and you try not to get shot. The AI is a little stupid, they mostly just stand around, but a lot of the guns are pretty interesting. It almost feels like a waste to give the enemies such simple combat behavior. Let's talk about the guns real quick. They all fill some sort of niche, and they can range from very underwhelming to pretty useful. The problem comes with introducing reasons good enough to use them over your lightsaber. You would think that they could have some enemies placed just right, making it so you can't get to them with the saber, and while that does happen a few times, the chances to make good use of these blasters are few and far between. Because of the saber throw ability and the fact that you also have other force stuff that works at range, you're most likely not going to find yourself choosing a lot of the more basic weapons over the lightsaber. There is a case, though, for using them against enemies that are shooting rockets or explosives, since you can't deflect those. There's also explosive weapons, which work well against enemies with lightsabers. If I'm being honest, not having access to the most powerful weapon in the arsenal by far is giving me a whole new appreciation for this thing, the Golan Arms Flechette weapon. It's got that chunky, blocky 80s sci-fi look to it that I love. And it reminds me of the laser weapons from Fallout. It fires shrapnel that bounces around and melts through enemies. And the secondary fire shoots grenades. I will definitely be using this thing a little bit more often after having a little demo. So yeah, that's my opinion on the other weapons of Jedi Academy. They could be useful, but your lightsaber is the answer to almost every one of your problems. Hey, there's a little coffee pot here, with a coffee mug sitting here next to it. I like how even though so much in the Star Wars mythos is changed for world-building purposes, the coffee pot stays exactly the same. Some things are just perfect the way they are. Holy shit. As if there wasn't enough curveballs in this game, they let you use a chicken walker for exactly 30 seconds? Where the hell are all the enemies? I already killed them all. Okay, that's just... I don't even have the words. They bothered to program an entire working ATST into the game, complete with the walking sounds that sound like a bag of glass bottles being shaken around, only to give you like 5 or 6 enemies to fight? Huh? If this were a modern game, the ATST portion would be an entire level. You really don't see this type of thing anymore. To be honest though, the aiming is pretty bad, so it's not like we missed out. When you're trying to shoot something right in front of you, the head of the walker is directly in your line of sight. Why would you program it like this? Well, we got our lightsaber back in the end, and since this was the 5th mission of the batch, it means it's time for another story mission. Although, we're a decent chunk into this game, and the story has barely moved an inch. We're still playing catch-up with these disciples of Ragnos while they run around harvesting all the force energy from the planets that are lousy with it. Oh, Rosh went missing earlier, so that's good. I forgot all about that. Now I remember why my headache suddenly stopped. The next planet is Vjun, which we investigate together with Kyle. It's supposedly the site of one of Darth Vader's castles. I guess that's like his vacation home. It seems like kind of a shit place to take a vacation on account of the acid rain. And since I was stupid enough not to unlock the protection force power yet, we get to listen to this. Wonderful. Oh, what the shit, Kyle? I'm trying to platform here. Did you see that? He knocked me off the edge. Kyle. Kyle! Damn it, Katarn. Come on. Move out of the damn way. God. Kyle is kind of a liability, don't you think? Aside from our mentor being a complete jerk-off in this mission, Vjun isn't so bad. The rain part is a bit whatever, but once you're inside, it's peppered with non-stop action, and it has you fighting jet troopers, turret droids, and my favorite, cultists. Good, my saber was just starting to get thirsty. I could always do with more of these fights. Oh, finally. I work much better alone. What's this room? Why is it so huge? You're gonna get really bad cobwebs up there. Those cracks and crevices are not easy to get up into. Oh wait, that's what the jet troopers are for. Never mind. I bet this is like a training room or something. That's the only excuse I can think of for it being this massive. Force sensitives do be flying around sometimes. Whatever it is, it looks rad. You could hold a great rave in here. After being practically starved for good lightsaber fights for the last couple of hours of the game, this part feels so vindictive. There's a saber fight in almost every room, and the encounters feel fast, but not overwhelming. You have so much control over your character in this game. Not too many games get made like this anymore. I'm also finding that while the fast saber style is best for dispatching regular enemies that can't block, the regular style you started with works a little bit better for dueling. Ah, dueling. This is the second time playing through this game for me, and let me tell you, even now I don't understand all the tricks. There's just so much nuance to the fighting here. There's a lot they don't tell you, which is why if you look up anything to do with the Jedi Academy combat mechanics, you'll find a shitload of forum posts, mostly from years ago, detailing the finer points of dueling mechanics and etiquette. You can see how special this game is to so many people just by looking at the amount of effort put into these guides. Considering the age of this game, there's actually a shocking amount of people that still play online in multiple game modes, and most likely there's even more in private servers or modded ones. That is so nice to see. I wonder how many of the players on these servers are old warhorses who remember the clan wars from back in the heyday of the online scene. I know there used to be clan wars, guys. Don't hide them from me. I've heard the legends. If anyone watching has any personal experience or insight into the rich history of the multiplayer scene, please let me know. I would love to read about your stories. Anyway, yeah, the dueling is extremely advanced and a little highbrow even for myself. And that's coming from someone who likes the nuanced combat of Dark Souls PvP. I know I could fully understand it if I really put in the effort and sat down with someone else in multiplayer and practiced, but for me, I belong firmly in the casual player bracket. What I do know is enough to mop the floor with these cultist assholes, and that's enough for me. One thing that happens occasionally that I love is that sometimes in the middle of a duel, your opponent will deactivate their lightsaber and just kinda grimace at you from the other side of the room. Like an iPad kid who just ran out of battery. It gives you each a chance to regenerate your force, your health, and just reevaluate your next moves. It really makes you feel like an honest Jedi. Oh, hey Rosh. Of course he's been corrupted by the dark side. He was pretty vulnerable. I'm not even a little bit surprised. He's got 2 bodyguards with him, and this fight is pretty good. I think the strategy is to go for his juggernaut-looking friends first, since they like to ruin any nice duel you get going with Rosh like punks. Oh shit! Yeah, there we go. Not so strong without your entourage, are ya? Kyle catches up eventually, but a new foe gets the drop on us. It's Tavian. Was she just standing there the whole time like a weirdo? Kyle spared Tavian's life after a duel in the previous game. Naturally, since she wasn't granted release from her midriff-bearing lifestyle in the form of a warrior's death, she's pissed. So she wants to use the scepter to resurrect Ragnos himself, a dead Sith Lord. That's not good at all. Necromancy? In my Star Wars? After she leaves, we make our escape with Kyle, but lose our lightsaber in the process. But that ends up being a good thing, because now we get to make a brand new one. This is kind of an important choice. You're stuck with whatever you pick for the rest of the game. They let you pick between the normal saber you had before, which would now have access to 3 distinct styles rather than 2, dual-wielded sabers, or a 2-handed saber staff, Darth Maul style. It's a hard choice for some, but not for me. I've always thought the double-ended saber looked way cooler, so I think I'll go with that. This next level is gas. It has us going through the tomb of a Jedi Knight, and most of the enemies have lightsabers, creating plenty of opportunity to play with my new saber staff. Oh, that was just perfection. The visual style of this tomb actually reminds me a lot of Lord of the Rings, with the statues of dudes in robes and the bottomless chasm and whatnot. It has a great sense of scale. Everything is massive. Which begs the question, is this really a tomb for one Jedi? They can't do this for every high-ranking Jedi that dies, right? I mean, even just for one, this tomb is a huge waste of resources. I'm all for honoring the dead and stuff, but building walkways and dozens of statues and huge underground tombs just to bury one guy? That's just senseless. It wouldn't be the first time the Jedi did something I didn't understand. Like that whole deal about not having emotions or avoiding intimate relationships. Do they realize that emotions and relationships are a cornerstone of the human experience? Or are they just too busy ironing their robes? This has to be a tomb for multiple Jedi. It just has to be. If I were dead looking down at my predecessors building a huge tomb for me like this, I'd be pissed. Build houses. Build a water park for Ewoks for all I care. Wait a second. Don't Jedi get lit up barbecue style for their funerals? Yeah, they do. Anytime one died in the movies, they do that whole cremation ceremony thing. So there really is no point to this tomb. They have no bodies to bury. It is just a waste of time. Well, at least it makes for a fun level. It's at this point in the game where it actually starts to gain a little bit of difficulty too. These encounters really test you, and you can't just swing wildly anymore, or you're gonna get countered. Hard. See? I got sloppy and I died for it. Whoa, look at this room. This hall is huge. The perfect place for a climactic 2-on-1 battle. Dinner's served, you shitheels. Come and get it. Did you see that? I force pulled his buddy's corpse. I didn't even mean to do that. Boom, baby. Another cultist or 2 later, and that's another great level in the books. Oh, and look at this. A single coffin. So this is just for one person. So much for the humble space Buddhist warrior approach. You Jedi are more materialistic than a Nepo baby on vacation. This looks nice. It's like a huge dam sequestered into the face of this mountain. What a lake. I bet there are huge fish down there. The size of buildings, no doubt. There's always a bigger fish. Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I'm a huge fan of the environments in this game. The range that the designers are capable of is out in full force here. I think the contrast between the industrial tech and the ancient brick is doing a lot for this place. It reminds me of Turok, that N64 game with the dinosaurs and the shirtless dude. I never finished that one. I'd always end up getting lost and not knowing where I needed to go next. But I was like 10, so I could have just been dumb. Man, TIE fighters are funny to me. They're iconic, don't get me wrong, but what's with that sound? It sounds like someone's screaming. And the name, my god. TIE Fighter? Sure, they can try to say that it stands for Twin Ion Engine Fighter, but I know your secret, George. I know you call them that because they're shaped like bow ties. Do not lie to me. It's Boba Fett. Yeah, this part is really good. It's pretty much the mining platform level that was terrible earlier, but improved in every possible way. You're supposed to plant bombs like in that mission, but here the level layout is a lot more forgiving, and you're less likely to get lost because they give you an actual map that shows you where you need to plant bombs. That, and you can plant them in any order. So it's like they learned their lesson, but they didn't bother to go back and touch up that earlier mission. Whatever. Water under the bridge. Right now there are more important things to worry about. Like Boba Fett's friggin' flamethrower. Youch! Yeah, he's got the right idea. That's what I would do if I was fighting a Jedi. Have fun trying to deflect fire, jackass. And I must be said jackass because I fall for it a couple of times. I'm definitely part of the Boba Fett fan club. I think he's one of the cooler Star Wars characters, and as someone who's really into fantasy armor, his design is definitely one of the best ones in the entire franchise. Being a Boba Fett enjoyer is a lot easier now because of his appearances in The Mandalorian and his own spin-off series, but for like years and years, Fett fans had to huff near-lethal doses of copium because he was widely believed to have been killed by Han Solo in Return of the Jedi. It's good to be a fan now, though. He's always been one of my favorites.
We're not heading to Korriban just yet. I just received a distress signal from Rosh.
Rosh again? It's always Rosh this, Rosh that. He sent out a distress signal, and it's up to us to rescue him before we move in to stop Tavian from resurrecting that Sith Lord. Alright, fine. But only because I need more practice with the Saber Staff. I don't give a damn about Rosh. Whoa, look at that! Yeah, there's a bunch of these cool fly-in shots in this game. They're probably a lot more cinematic with the music, but I had to mute it for the video. I'm sure I'll figure something out. Interesting choice of sound effects for the lava lake here, guys. Must be some pretty thin lava.
To one of us.
These jetpack guys are wicked annoying sometimes. Alright, down you go, goodbye. Into the drink. Yeah, these level designers know what the hell they're doing. You just don't give the player the ability to make enemies go flying and not have high ledges with no guardrails. You just don't. They understand that. They get us. Oh, where are you going? Well, have a nice fall. What the fuck? Why do they keep doing that? This level is really fun. It's straightforward, there's a lot of enemy variety, and we get to see a lot of different places. You've got the walkways, the lava lakes, the basic Star Wars interior, and this factory segment reminds me a lot of Half-Life 1. After getting crushed to death a few times because this part isn't very well telegraphed, we catch up with Rosh again.
You have to believe me. We're friends, remember?
No, don't play the friend card with me, Rosh. I barely friggin' tolerate you. Wow, it really looks like Jaden wants to kill Rosh. There's a little devil on the shoulder exchange here with Kyle warning us not to kill him, and Mirror Me egging us on to do it. And then they just come right out and say it, bold-faced, on the screen. Attack Rosh or deactivate your lightsaber to remain on the path of light. Well, I really wanted to kill him, but I guess he is basically a kid. Kids are pretty dumb. I've never blown up on a kid just for being stupid, or attacked one with a lightsaber for that matter. Alright, Rosh, it's your lucky day. I'm feeling generous.
Tavion has taught me many things as well, you sanctimonious fool.
Why don't you come down here and say that with your saber, you swagless donut? Oh shit! He was just a spectator. He wasn't even fighting and she cut his damn arm off. I bet she did that on accident. Alright, let's fight. Oh damn, she's got some mustard in her veins. Yeah, the combat to this game is a little too fast for constant deliberation. You kinda just have to build a muscle memory for it. If you mash or attack recklessly, you're gonna get killed. You can die very quickly. And I do. A couple of times, actually. But the Force prevails once again, and her constant penchant for throwing her only weapon at me gets her into trouble. Bam. Dead. This game is not big enough for 2 foxy alien ladies. Kyle, geez, man, where were you? Try to keep up. Yeah, things are finally kicking off. The disciples of Ragnos are on their way to Korriban to resurrect their best boy, and we gotta get over there fast. The next level is the final stretch, and it has us storming the Sith Temple with a whole posse of Jedi. It's absolute chaos, and it's amazing. The Sith janitor that's in charge of this place is gonna get a promotion because we are mopping the floor with these fools. Look at them go! I'm glad they're on our side. There's also a few of these puzzles that require to make use of your Force sense power and see glyphs on the wall that are invisible otherwise. And I'm actually kind of shocked that they didn't use this mechanic more elsewhere in the game, like to hide secret areas or something. This is only like the 2nd or 3rd level to have stuff like this. There is lots and lots of saber fighting, and rightfully so. We hack and slash and push and pull until we finally get through into this vista. Check it out. Yeah, a healthy dose of ancient Egyptian influence going on here. Plenty of huge statues and stuff. I like it. Alright, it's time for the final boss. Tavian here is trying to resurrect Ragnos, but not on my watch.
This stops here.
Ah, Kyle's good student. You're too late.
God, why are all Sith so bad at trash talk? That's like high school bully caliber stuff coming out of her mouth right there. Die, 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 die. What? Well, that was anticlimactic. Oh, okay, second phase. So Ragnos comes back, and am I crazy, or does he look really out of place? He looks like he's from like World of Warcraft or something. His design doesn't match this game at all. Anyway, he possesses Tavian here, and... Oh, the staff is a sword too? I didn't know it could do that. Groovy. That shit had better be Beskar or something, or else this is gonna be a real quick fight. You don't see this very often, a lightsaber against an actual sword. This is cool. Oh, almost nicked me there. Whew. May the power of Christ compel you, you cartoony son of a bitch. With Ragnos banished and the staff destroyed, the cultists are no more, and the galaxy can return to its normal hustle and bustle. And hey, it's the late duo, Luke and Kyle. Where the hell were you guys? They were probably getting coffee or something. They didn't even bring us one. And hey, Rosh is okay too. He's got a new robo hand. Good for him. Maybe he can use it to pretend to be useful somehow. Okay, let's address the rancor in the room here. This story kind of sucks, in both the way it's presented and the actual story beats themselves. You get 1, sometimes 2 main story missions, and then you play through 4 to 5 filler missions, which are only tangentially related to the story. They don't progress anything or add stuff to the narrative, they're just busy work. It really makes the quest to stop the cult of Ragnos feel like it's not that urgent. When you do get story missions, they're a lot of fun, sure, but it takes way too long for things to happen. You don't even meet the main villain, Tavian, until halfway through the game. It feels like almost nothing happens until the very last mission, where it all happens at once. Speaking of that last mission, Rosh does owe me the blood price. He tried to kill me more than once. Should we go back and kill him and see what the dark side ending is like? What am I talking about? Of course we should. Let's go. Perish. Yeah, listen to this. Jaden's turning to the dark side comes out of absolutely nowhere. They barely show any signs of being tempted by evil up to this point. The only giveaway is that if you put too many skill points into the dark side powers, Luke and Kyle will kind of raise their eyebrows at you after missions and warn you about it, like concerned parents or something. Other than that, Jaden kind of gives off that goody two-shoes vibe throughout the whole game. It's kind of like if Mario turned face and suddenly sided with Bowser at the very end, after byahooing and yippieing all over the damn place. Ah well, we're in it now. You have to fight Alora again, which is a little easier this time around since I've learned her tricks. And then you get to go through Korriban, but instead of fighting through cultists, you have to contend with both cultists and Jedi. The evil ending is a little harder, which is interesting. You'd expect it to be the other way around. So when we get to the main chamber, we fight Tavian again, but this time Jaden is a much better shit-talker. I guess that's just one of the perks that comes with the dark side. The boss isn't any more difficult than last time. It's the same for the first phase. When we kill her, rather than fighting Ragnos using her body like a puppet, Kyle walks in and tries to stop us from taking the scepter. God, this man cannot be on time for anything to save his life. Nice try, Kyle. Remember that time you made me fall into the acid? Because I do. It's on, Brown Pants. Hey, what the hell, dude? He disarmed me. I was gonna kill you with that thing. There we go. No way he survived a direct blast. That shit fires concentrated force energy and it hit him in the chest. Oh, and the rocks? Yeah, just leave him there. That can be his tomb. Jaden flees, scepter in hand, and Kyle survived? Ugh, whatever, man. I've never seen a non-player character have so much plot armor before. Him and Luke have a man-to-man conversation about how they're both horrible teachers to have both Rosh and Jaden turn to the dark side. Then we see Jaden hijacking a Star Destroyer. Badass. Well, I know which ending is more interesting. I'd be inclined to say the dark side ending is a lot better if it weren't for the fact that the turn comes completely from left field. There were no nightmares of people Jaden loves dying, no tragic loss that severs their connection to the Force or anything. They just suddenly choose that they want more power. It's all Rosh's fault anyway. He's got such a punchable face. Man, this game is fantastic. Forget about the story. That's not what we're here for. What we're here for is to feel like a Jedi, and Jedi Academy succeeds fiercely in that regard. In no other Star Wars game do you have so much agency over your character's movements and attacks. The way you can run around while swinging your saber, the precise hitboxes, and just the sheer amount of options you have on your missions to fight the enemies all swirl together into a wonderfully empowering game. I know I complained about the filler levels before, but even if they don't contribute much to the story, they still take you on a grand adventure. I feel like I've seen the whole galaxy at this point. To add to that sense of adventure, this game is not afraid of referencing the original trilogy of movies, even going so far as to feature multiple side characters from said movies. Like Boba Fett, that X-Wing pilot with the stupid name, Luke himself, and Chewbacca. This makes you feel a lot closer to the world of Star Wars, and that is something you don't see anymore in these games. Now everything is trying desperately to be its own thing and set itself apart, only to fail in creating memorable characters. Star Wars games like this just don't get made anymore. I'm shocked that nobody has tried to replicate this gameplay in another Star Wars game, but then again, am I really? In my experience, AAA studios love to make games feel like they're not games. With complex locomotion systems for character movement, Hollywood movie-style narratives, and easily digestible mechanics that don't expect too much of the player. The immersion of these newer Star Wars games is great. It results in a game that looks and plays well enough, but in that refinement process, you lose a few things along the way. Like freedom of movement, responsiveness of controls, and just overall fun factor. We have none of that here in Jedi Academy. This video game feels like a video game. It's one of the most game-ass games in the whole Star Wars saga, and I think that's all thanks to its focus on a fluid and freestyle core combat system. I have never had fights like these in any other Star Wars game, and I mean it. If you want the Jedi experience, this is the game you play. Man, the Saber Combat is so good, I kinda wish there was more replayability. I mean, sure, there's the different endings, and you could pick different saber styles, but I just wish I could play as more famous characters from the movies, the other games, the extended universe, and just have duels. If only there were a way. Yeah, you bet your sweet bippy I'm talking about Star Wars movie duels. If I didn't, the Star Wars heads would never let me hear the end of it. This is Movie Duels, a total conversion of Jedi Academy that turns it into the single best Saber Combat experience ever made. I'm dead serious. Not only did they take the already fantastic base game and add a ton of playable characters to it, but there's also improvements and addition that send it above and beyond. You've got manual blocking for more control in combat, added perfect blocks, missions like gauntlets and survival challenges where you can choose any character you want, an updated UI that elucidates hidden mechanics like combat fatigue and block points, and missions that take you through some of the most iconic duels from the movies. There are entire scenes from those films recreated in-engine here. It's extremely impressive. If that's not enough for you, you can also play through Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy with these new tweaks and additions. This is the fucking way. All of this is thanks to the efforts of people who have fallen in love with this game and selflessly devoted their time and effort into not only keeping it working, but also to keeping the dream of hacking up fools with a lightsaber alive and well. With all that done and dusted, it's time to answer the question on everyone's mind. Should you play Jedi Academy? Yeah, I'm talking to you. The flowchart for this one is very simple. Do you like Star Wars? Like, even a little bit? Okay, do you think lightsabers are cool? If you do, then yes, you should 100% play this, and I say that with my whole chest. It's amazing. This is a run-to-buy-this-game situation. As a matter of fact, I have a special treat for you all. I've given this game what I'm calling the blissful ignorance treatment. I have purposefully left out significant chunks of this game, with the express purpose in mind of allowing you another reason to play it for yourself. A lot of the time when you watch a full playthrough or a review like this one where I show you a lot, you don't feel too inclined to play the game since you've already seen it all. Nope, not here. There is some really cool shit that I deliberately left out, just for you. So there's plenty more that you haven't seen. You're welcome. That does it for this episode of Games from Earth. We covered a lot of ground on this one. Let me know if you guys want to see me cover more Star Wars stuff. I hope you all liked watching it as much as I liked making it. Always check under your bed for monsters before tucking in for the night, and may the Force be with you. See ya. No, you. Right back at ya. I'd rather not. Hard pass. Damn it.